Hey friends, what's happening here? Big Dog Ethan coming at you from The Kennel here on Substack, and I'm going to be doing probably like my third recorded take on this Forbes article that was made about my university, Henderson State University. For those who don't know, Henderson State, financially speaking, is in a bit of a pickle. Right now, the problem is we have a lot of students who simply have gone for a very long time without paying, what they owe the school. That's what we've been told by administration here. And it's certainly true that's part of the problem here, right? And there's a Forbes article that was recently published and actually promoted by my school's Facebook page. So let me go to the source view here. There we go. Okay, so there's this Forbes article here. Can financial exigency transform this small Arkansas university? So already, I can tell that they're strictly and strongly adhering to the phrasing, the language that the people at Arkansas State University, the people who absorbed Henderson State, merged with Henderson State University, whatever phrasing you want to use. The people who are having to make these budget cuts at Henderson State University, they're going all in on the whole financial exigency phrase. Why is that? They are trying to make all of this sound as pleasant as possible. And this article here goes to some pretty severe lengths to reflect that same attitude of really trying to make the best of a terrible situation. Now, for something like a letter, which actually it does mention here, there is a letter from Chuck Ambrose, the president of chancellor, of ASU. Where's that letter at? Here it is. I mean, look, even look at the letter in which Chuck Ambrose announced this situation. I mean, he even started this whole proposal off as a situation of financial exigency. So, yeah, already, this article right off the bat is adhering to the language that ASU and HSU are seeking to employ. But if you read the full article, you'll even notice, too, that, for one, perhaps the most glaring omission to someone who has been present here really throughout the most intense point of this financial scandal, right? 2 months after I enrolled at Henderson State University, a decision which, if I may add, was a slightly tough one to make. 2 months after I enroll at HSU, I see this article pop up on my phone, which, by the way, we're having to go through the Wayback Machine now because Arkansas Democrat Gazette, for some reason, they have a faulty link. So anyways, this Forbes article here has nothing to mention about what happened before Chuck Ambrose came to HSU. They do give a little bit of lip service to the time period, at least. They say, hold on a second, this is not the first time that Henderson has struggled financially. An ongoing budget crisis led its board of trustees to vote in 2019 to join the Arkansas State University system, an action made official in 2021. Notice, they don't name what led to that budget crisis. They don't name any actors, why, they just say, oh yeah, there was a budget crisis. It just happened. Important context to fill in there for someone who is working for Forbes. Now, let's get this out of the way too, because I've had a lot of discussions about this with friends about whether or not even Forbes should be talking about Glenn Jones at this point. At a February 15th, 2022 forum, Chuck Ambrose hosted a forum that was redundant. Chuck Ambrose has this forum on February 15th, and someone had asked him, hey, you know, like, is the administration here going to be doing anything about Glenn Jones, or like, how are you all going to be handling that? And Chuck Ambrose had said that the administration is not going to try to focus on Glenn Jones and what happened before they came here, because they can't really do anything about that. The guy's been fired, kicked out of here. That's really all they can do. And to that extent, I get why maybe in letters like this, like the forum or like emails, I understand why whenever communicating directly to the student body or to the community as a whole, why you wouldn't, you know, go on about Glenn Jones. Because, yeah, we all know what the hell happened with Glenn Jones and how he drove this place into a ground, right? And again, to be clear, by the way, let's open up the actual the resolution that was signed by the faculty that, you know, where they said, this is why we're kicking you out of here. During his time at HSU, as HSU's president, Higher Learning Commission lowered our financial rating from 2.5 to 0.8. That's out of 10. So 0.8 divided by 10, I think that's like 0.08%. Could you imagine getting a 0.08? Oops. Could you imagine getting a 0.08% on like a test and then like having to take that test home back to your parents or something like that? And that's just the first one, by the way. Let's continue. Incurred budgetary woes since fiscal year 2015 and 2016. Deficit of $1.6 million in fiscal year 17. Transfer from reserves of $1.8 million. Deficit of $3.2 million. I mean, this list just goes on and on. So, of course, this guy gets kicked out. The craziest thing that this article fails to report on, which if you actually, like, just do a basic internet search, one easy way to even, like, see some kind of, like, update as to what's going on with Glenn Jones, if you just search Henderson State and go on Wikipedia, they'll at least mention here, where is he at? Here it is. He currently serves as an assistant to the president of Georgetown University. So if you do a basic search on Henderson State, you can already find probably the craziest fact about this whole thing, right? That, yeah, Glenn Jones, he's an assistant to the president of Georgetown University. And not just that, by the way, let's get more specific, because if you actually look up his LinkedIn. So Glenn Jones, experience, senior advisor to the president of Georgetown University, full-time, started September 2020. How? No idea, but of course Forbes, who, you know, has a lot more resources than, you know, a dumb, broke 21-year-old college student to answer these kind of questions, Forbes just refuses to answer this question and instead simply regurgitate the same narrative that ASU and HSU want to put out to, understandably, you know, make this terrible situation seem as great as possible to its community. I get that. But whenever it comes to Forbes reporting on this story, whenever it comes to Forbes telling the story of Henderson State University to a national audience, this is not enough. You got to tell the story about Glenn Jones if you're gonna try to tell the full story of Henderson State, because and look, some can make the argument, hey, you know, I mean, they make the focus of this article pretty clear. It's only about trying to examine, you know, whether or not financial exigency, you know, can really be beneficial to universities in similar situations like ours. I think you're lacking a pretty huge piece of this story if you don't at least say something about how we got there in the first place. How do you get to the position where you need to do financial exigency in the first place? How can you prevent from getting into positions of financial exigency in the first place? Those are the more important questions to be asking, not simply, hey, what's the best way we can do financial exigency? Because ultimately, I think that's a question that seeks to just automatically start cutting budgets and cutting money away from important institutions like public universities. I think that's just not even the focus of this article, considering that it is being, again, given to a national audience. I don't think Forbes is an appropriate platform to be honestly even having this discussion. But if you are going to be having a discussion about Henderson State University on a national platform like Forbes, you got to tell the full story. And Michael T. Neitzel, senior contributor to this outlet, he really, I think he chose a poor focus on this article and ended up just kind of regurgitating the same narrative that HSU and ASU are trying to, give to its community. Which, again, I'm not blaming HSU, not blaming ASU for doing that. They got to do that. I get it. You have to try to keep morale up here. Yeah. That's not Forbes' job, though. Forbes' job is to report the news and report the truth. And it's a pretty significant failure in reporting on the truth whenever you can't even mention, how Glenn Jones and his administration brought us to the point where we're at right now. So, I think those are all my thoughts on that article. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you have any thoughts, type them up in the comments section. You want to subscribe, you want to see, all the content that I've got, that I'm putting out here on the kennel, type in your email in that subscribe box. Also, if you think of someone who might want to watch this, hit that share button as well. All great tools that help to support my work here at the kennel. Thank you so much for tuning in, friend. And HSU forever.